What's up, Met fans? Welcome back. Talkin Mets with Rob. How's everybody doing? Before I get started talking about the possibility of the New York Mets trading for Ketel Marte, don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you're enjoying my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos, and when I go live, you guys know what to do. Hit on that subscribe button, everybody. Alright, guys, so what is the possibility of our New York Mets trading for Ketel Marte? Well, it could be a real possibility. Knowing that they need a big quality bat in this lineup. Ketel Marte is not a big bat, but he's definitely a more solid bat that the Mets currently have in this lineup that I think can really help this lineup go a long way within the 162 game season. And that also understands that if Michael Conforto is not signed by the New York Mets, the Mets have a gaping hole in that lineup with Ketel Marte that can actually be a big piece to this lineup and help out this lineup that desperately needs another bat protecting Pete Alonso. So we're going to look at Ketel Marte's contract and his stats prior to the 2021 season, as well as 2021, and looked at his projected stats in 2022 from Baseball References. So we're going to go through all of that, and I will also go through a trade proposal that I think will be worth it for both teams and fair for both teams as well, to put a package together from the Mets going to the Arizona DiamondBacks. So we're going to look at that in a few minutes, guys. But first, with Ketel Marte, we're going to look at his prior stats from 2021 until he came into the season right here, guys. So this is what it looks like right here with Ketel Marte. So last year, pretty solid year, but he only played 90 games. He was injured, so that's not really a good sign, but I do think he's a solid player when he's healthy, and I think the Mets can really use him. So in 2021, he had a batting average of .318, 50 RBIs, and 14 home runs in 90 games. Now, if you project that another 40 to 45 games, he can probably hit 20 home runs. But again, he has to stay healthy. Now, in 2019 and 2020, he played 144 and 153 games. So last year was somewhat of an anomaly when it came to his injury-prone season. But looking at his average in 2019 and 2018, 260 and 329. Now, his career average is 287. But in 2019, he had 32 home runs. But let's go easy with that home run total because he was a part of the live ball year when the ball was completely juiced and everybody was hitting home runs out of the yard. Even people who weren't expected to hit 20 home runs went way above their total. So when it comes to that, I do like Ketel Marte. I worry a little bit in 2021 when considering his 90 game season, which is not great. He missed a lot of time with the Arizona DiamondBacks, but I do expect him to be a healthy player if he becomes a New York Met. Healthy in general, but if he becomes a New York Met, I do expect him to be healthy. I do expect him to hit around 15 to 16 home runs, around 65 RBIs, and bat around 300. When you look at his projected stats, according to Baseball Reference, at the age of 28, a 299 average, 16 home runs, and 56 RBIs. And that is, if you look at his stats, that's around 120 to 130 games. I think his home run and RBI total will be a little bit more, just depending on Arizona is a huge ballpark, and there was a lot of times he hit balls in center field that were either off the wall or court that would be out in any other ballpark, including Citi Field. So I can see him hitting around 18 home runs, around 65 RBIs, and still bat around 300, which is something that this lineup could use a little bit more of. Not a lot of power, but I do expect him to be on base. His on-base percentage be around 358, 503 slugging, and 861 OPS. That's something that the Mets could really use in this lineup, and I really do think that the Mets can have a really nice trade package that we can get Ketel Marte. But we're going to look at, besides his stats, is what does his contract look like? Well, in 2022, he's making $8 million, which is about 4.8 that affects the luxury tax, which is something interesting to look at with the Mets, considering that right now they're still under that 4-tier luxury tax, and they might be looking to stay under that. for when the trade deadline comes around, when they need to add an arm or a big bat into this lineup, want to stay under that $290 luxury tax. And he also has club options for 2023 and 2024. Now, there's not enough information regarding his contract that if he gets traded, those club options become part of his contract and it's just a player option. I'm not as sure about that. There's not enough information regarding that in his contract, but he has 2 club options in 2023 and 2024. Now, it is possible that when he's traded, the New York Mets would have club options as well in those 2 years. Even if they do, if he has a good year, they might want to keep him for the 2023 season, which is $10 million, in 2024, which is $12 million, but they also cannot take that club option and then he becomes a free agent at the age of 29 years old. So there's a lot to look into when it comes to that. But he is only making $8 million this year, which is not a lot of money considering the production you will get from Ketel Marte. So when it comes down to it, and here is the most important thing that we have to look at. What would the trade proposal be for Ketel Marte? Well, this is what I propose right here, guys. The trade proposal that I propose right now is the Mets giving up Dominic Smith and their number 17th ranked prospect in Jake Mangum. Not a lot to give up. Mets have a couple of picks in this year's draft, which will help bolster their farm system. And Dominic Smith, at this moment, is basically either going to be a DH or going to be on the bench. But there's a lot of guys in this roster right now that is going to be the DH. You're going to have Robinson Cano, you're going to have J.D. Davis. Some days you're going to have Pete Alonso. And there is guys that can actually play first base in Cano, who could actually play first base. Not a lot, but he can. And considering that Alonso's probably going to play every day, Dominic Smith is going to be mostly on the bench if he's not the DH. And I do expect the New York Mets to give Robinson Cano every opportunity to become the DH. We'll see a lot of that in spring. But when it comes to the trade, Dominic Smith and Jake Mangum for Ketel Marte, I really do think this is a fair trade for both sides. Dominic Smith is going to be a loss. He looks really good in spring at the moment. But I still think that you can use Dominic Smith with his first base status and how good he is at first base, and his value right now is somewhat high. I think you can use him in a trade with your number 17 prospect in Jake Mangum to get Ketel Marte. And Ketel Marte can basically bat anywhere in the lineup. He's not a speed guy, so you don't necessarily have to put him in the lineup in the leadoff spot or the number 2 spot. You can bat him anywhere you want. You can probably bat him 9th if you really want to, or you can bat him 6th or 7th. Really depends, but you can bat him anywhere in this lineup, and he will perform to the stats that I told you earlier. Expect him to hit 300, around 15 to 17 home runs, around 60 to 65 RBIs, which is another nice piece in this lineup that puts the bat on the ball and another professional hitter. And you'll at least have him for one more year with those club options for 2023 and 2024. So when it comes to Ketel Marte, do we think the Mets can pull this trade off? Not a lot of people are talking about it. More people are focused on either Michael Conforto or trade scenarios with relief pitches with is Taylor Rogers and Josh Hader. I don't see those 2 trades happening. Maybe Taylor Rogers, but Josh Hader, I still don't think the Brewers are willing to trade him just yet. The Michael Conforto possible signing to the New York Mets will have a big impact if the Mets make a trade for a guy like Ketel Marte. And I do think, guys, that Ketel Marte is the guy the Mets could look at and try to get and put in this lineup, who will be a very good piece in this lineup. Not only to make the batting order even better, but it gives more options for Buck Showalter to move around the lineup to help protect the big power bat of Pete Alonso. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you enjoy my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos, and want to go live, you guys know what to do. Hit on that subscribe button, everybody.